Hello, everyone. My name is Marsh, and welcome to my review of Book 14 of The Wheel of Time, A Memory of Light. He came like the wind touched everything, and like the wind was gone. From the Dragon Reborn, by Loial, son of Erend, son of Holland, the Fourth Age. The end of the last book of The Wheel of Time. Hello, everyone. This is my review of Book 14 of The Wheel of Time. This is going to be a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't read the book yet, feel free to click off and come back to this video. I tried lighting a pipe, but I guess I don't have powers like Rand. Didn't really work out. But anyways, we'll still go ahead and go through the review. If you can leave a like and subscribe if you end up enjoying this, that'd be greatly appreciated, but we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to talk about the ending first, and then we'll go through and talk about like the events that happened in my opinion on the events. But I just wanted to talk about how I felt when it ended and like the emotions that came over me first, and then we'll go through the rest of it. So, when I finished the series, I'll be honest with you, I think I cried for like 10 to 15 minutes after finishing it, which was not expected. It wasn't a sad ending, as you guys know. It was actually a very, I would say, happy ending. And it wasn't a cry due to the scenes or the things that were happening. I sort of felt an empathy towards Rand at the end. So in the very end, he switches bodies with Moradin, and he rides away on his horse, lighting his pipe, and he has this feeling of freedom. He can go anywhere, do anything, be anyone, and just he's finally free. And this burden that's been on his shoulders for the last 14 books is finally lifted off of him. And that's sort of what I felt. This has definitely been a journey. It's been a good 2 to 3 years, and I started my reading journey getting back into reading as an adult with The Wheel of Time. And now that it's finally finishing, I sort of felt that same burden lift off my shoulders like Rand. I was just so happy for him that he could finally live the life of a normal person now. He doesn't have the burdens of being the chosen one, helping a kingdom, having to do all these things, and instead, that weight is off his shoulders. And that's sort of what it felt like for me as well when I finished it. We're done. We finally did it. The weight is all off our shoulders, and we can be free and enjoy it, and we can be happy for the characters. And when that weight lifted, it just like affected me. I was like smile crying. I don't know how to explain it. I tried rereading the last page of the book like multiple times, and it kept hitting me over and over, and I couldn't even get through the full page. And it was just a weird void. And it's been a few weeks since I've read it. I just needed some time away from it before I do a review. So if I don't remember all the events, I apologize. But it was just a void and an overall sense of we did it, we're free, and the burden's gone. And I felt happy for Rand that he could finally live his life and be normal. Now, in terms of the rest of the book, we'll go ahead and go sort of by character. I'm not going to go over every single event because I'm not going to be here for an hour or two talking about everything that happens in this book. But we'll talk about like the main characters and how I thought their story wrapped up, things I liked and didn't like. And let's go ahead and start with one of the other Emmons Fielders. Let's start with Egwene. She's another big character, and she died in this book. I think it was justified. I think we needed a death in some way. And with Gawain dying the way that he died, it it made sense that Egwene would go crazy and like with power and try to avenge him essentially and do all this. It just made sense and it needed to happen. And I even said back in Gathering Storm, her arc as a character is kind of done after Gathering Storm in my opinion. She doesn't There's not really much else she has to do aside from lead the Aes Sedai into battle. And so there was a whole book of her not having to do much. And then this book, she just has to break the seals, which she doesn't really need to do because she doesn't have the seals in the first place. But the way they handled her arc, I enjoyed. Um, that also reminds me when we saw like Swan die, and that was depressing when we saw Swan die. I think Gareth Bryn died too. I don't remember exactly. I had to double check it, but yeah, those were some good deaths. There were a few fake out deaths that I'm like, we could have killed them off. Like, come on, like Roltel Ituralda in the prologue. We could have like just let him die. We need some like stakes in this. It's the final battle. We need him to like show that things are serious now and people are going to die. So it was a little like, oh, come on, we should have killed him, but that's fine. But yeah, with Egwene, I was happy with where her story went, what she did. I don't really have much to say about her per se, but we'll go ahead and jump into another character. This is going to be sort of scattered brain, as you can tell. There's just too much to cover, and it's been a while since I read it, about 2 weeks. So we'll just go through it as we do. The other character I want to talk about as well while we're at it, let's talk about Perrin a bit. So Perrin's job in this book basically was to be the protector of Rand in the dream world. His main enemy in this case would be Slayer, and then also the chosen lady that's doing compulsion on everyone. I get their names mixed up. It's not Graendal, I don't think. It might be. I know Lanfear, but anyways, he's trying to protect everyone. His battles with Slayer were interesting and cool. I really liked it. I liked where he went with his arc and how he had to learn how to be in person in the world and do all these things. And then really the relationship he had with Lanfear was very interesting. That was one of the more interesting parts, especially at the end where it's already been confirmed that Lanfear is not dead. She survived all of this. So basically she used compulsion on Perrin the whole time and made it to where he doesn't think he's under compulsion. And at the end, it looks like he overcomes compulsion to kill her. But in reality, what happened is she was still using compulsion on him, just made it look like he killed her so that she can be free from the Dark One, essentially, after Rand fought the Dark One. That was her plan the whole time. And I didn't know it. I mean, that was confirmed later by Brandon Sanderson actually last year. So it was a secret for about 10 years. I remember watching a podcast on it. Sorry if that's a spoiler to you, but it's not really a spoiler. It's just confirming a theory. But yeah, Lanfear, she lived, and it was interesting. And especially when she talked to Rand, and he's like, you don't mean anything to me. And he showed her all his emotions and memories, and it basically like destroyed her. And she's like, I need to find a new man in the dream world, the king of the dream world, to rule it with me. So it's strange to think that I'm talking about these characters now, because before it'd always been the aspect of what are they going to do going forward in the series. And now it's like, yeah, there's stuff I could talk about that they'll do going forward, but it's never going to happen. So I don't know how to discuss that, because like Lanfear, she's technically still alive. She could be a big bad. She could rule the dream world. She could do many things, and it's up in the air. And we'll never get a sequel as far as we're aware. But going back to Perrin, I really liked his arc. His battle with Slayer was cool. I liked when they went in the water and were doing those cool things. And like it kind of looked like a Moses, like spread the sea kind of like battle. That's kind of how I envisioned it in my head when they were fighting. And then at the end, it was super depressing when he was looking for Fael and he thought she was dead. That was totally crippling. And just like, it would have been crushing. I mean, I'm glad he found her. But like, I know some people would be upset that he found her. They think that she would die, because then it like gets rid of like the whole grieving aspect of it. But I always like vied for them. Perrin was always my favorite from the beginning. It waned towards the middle of the books and the later books, but in the beginning he was my favorite. And so I do have a connection with him when it comes to that. But I'm glad what he did with him, even though he wasn't part of like the battle per se. He protected the dream world for what he did. So he got the dream spike, and he helped Pavar and Andral and let Andral open a gate at the right moment so that time couldn't hit him with Bellfire. I kind of wish we got to see more with the Bellfire, like what's going on with that. I know when we saw Egwene, she got the ability to like reverse Bellfire and crystallize the world and like contain it, I guess. It'd been interesting to see like the aspects of that. This is where it'd be nice to have a book afterwards, like the aftermath, just even like a novella being like, here's what happened in the world, this is what's going on kind of thing. But I mean, it's fine with how it's ended. I actually like the ending very much so. But that's enough of Perrin. Let's get to the other dude while we're here. We'll talk about Matrim and his slave owning wife, Tuon. I hate Tuon. I know a lot of people hate her. She's a slave owner. She's a piece of poo. I don't like her. She's a horrible person, and I don't want to see her. And in terms of Matt, I feel like this is a popular opinion, but I feel like his character is really ruined by how much he idolizes Tuon as a character, and he doesn't try to sway her away from her ideas of slavery. If he was more like against it, and if he was vying against it and actually like putting his word towards it, it'd be fine. But with the way they did it, he's really not saying anything about it. He's not putting in his opinion, saying, yo, that's not right. He's just there, and he's like approving everything she does. And it's kind of annoying. And it sucks because there is parts where Matt shines, like in the final battle where he's having like this chess game with Demandred over all the battlefield, and he's doing all these different things, doing all his strategies to contain everyone in the field of Marilor, I believe it is, and he's trying to get everyone there. And then there's the one last like final charge they do, and it's successful, and things are working out, but everything is always like trumped by the fact that he's with Tuon, and it's annoying. But we'll ignore that for now. But I liked his strategy, what he did, and the little twist they had where he wasn't actually the one to blow the horn anymore because he died. And I think I realized that as well. Like the moment Oliver blew the horn of Valyr and it worked, I was like, at first I was like, how can he do that? That doesn't make sense. And then I like thought about it for a minute before reading on. I was like, oh wait, Matt died. He died when he went through the portal, and he got the and he got his like scar when he like saw the snake people or the fox people, one of the two. I think it was the snake people when he was in the waste and Rhuideon with Rand. He technically died, so he doesn't have control of the horn anymore. And so everyone's trying to get the horn to Matt when he doesn't even have control of it. And I really liked what they did with Oliver though, and like the whole when he's scared and he has to prevail despite him being the smallest, weakest of everyone. And I really enjoyed how they did that twist. And then when Noel came and saved him, and Noel is a hero of the Horn, it's just like heartwarming because it's like, oh, Oliver, you get to see your buddy Noel again. And Noel's sacrifice wasn't for nothing. He's a hero of the Horn to be reincarnated over and over. And then he goes charging in with Noel to the final battle. It's a very touching moment. I really liked it. We also saw Matt like defeat Podon Fane, and it was kind of anticlimactic with the Podon Fane fight. It just kind of happened. He kind of disappeared the last like few books, and he just like randomly showed back up now with like the power of the mist, and he's just like taking over people and killing them. And then Matt shows up and he's not affected by it, kills him. And then I did like how he looked at like the dagger and he's like, I don't need that anymore, kind of thing. Like he thought about it for a second though. But yeah, it was whatever. Like I feel like they just needed to close that loop, and so they're like, how can we kill Podon Fane, even though he hasn't really been relevant for a few books. That's pretty much it that I have to say with Matt though. Let's jump to Elaine. Elaine is still my least favorite character of like all the main ones. I consider her a main character. Uh, Most of that, like she wasn't. I don't know. I just really don't like her. I don't think she should have been put in charge of the armies. I know she has like training because she's royalty, and so she's been through like classes to be trained and do different things, but she's never been in like a real battle. And even in the previous ones, she's always been arrogant and bullheaded. Like for example, when she got captured by the Black Aja, she just like went in straight first because she's like, I have a fortune, I won't die, my babies are gonna be born. And I mean, they were never born in this technically still, but either way, she knows that she's not gonna die. And it would have been nice to see if they were born beforehand, because then there would have been a chance that she's gonna die. But knowing that like she's not gonna have the babies in this book was like, okay, well she's gonna live, or at least the babies will live. I mean, there was a scary moment when that one dude like grabbed her, and like we think that he's gonna try to like rape her and kill her and C-section her babies, and but the heroes of the Horn came and saved them and everything. And then that was cool when Birgit came after being killed. She came back as a hero of the Horn and saved her. That was pretty sick. But yeah, Elaine, she shouldn't have been put in charge though. Like with the whole Black Audra thing, she ran in head first. She's just arrogant. She's not a good strategist. She's never proved to be. She's never done any of it. So I don't know why they put her in charge. I think she just needed something to do. I don't really like her though. And then even in the aspect of her relationship with Rand, I don't feel like she is in a very good relationship with Rand. I feel like the only true person that belongs in a relationship with Rand is Min, and then Avienda is second, and then Elaine's third. But even then, Min's the only like real one that has like actual care or feelings towards him in a way. Like Elaine's just the childhood crush that he had sex with. Avienda is just his first, and then Min is the one that's like truly like the one. And it was interesting at the end that they all know that he's switching his body and going off for free, and they're not like crying, and everyone's like, you're soulless, why aren't you crying, what's wrong with you, and everything. And they're just keeping it secret. But yeah, I don't really care for much for Elaine with what she did. It was interesting in certain parts where we saw like all the generals getting taken over and controlled and having to fight with compulsion, but she's never really justified her point as being a general. That's enough of that though, and being negative. Let's go to another positive and another character we can talk about. Let's talk about Lan. And we'll throw in Nynaeve with it. Nynaeve didn't really do much in this. She was kind of absent for most of it. I guess she was with Rand the whole time, but like there wasn't much going on there. The final battle was like the majority of it, and then it was like sort of like the trials and what was done to be Aes Sedai is what Rand was going through, like mental trials essentially. But Lan, though, he basically was on his death march, and then here comes the saviors. Everyone's coming through portals. It looks sick. It's like Helm's Deep basically with Gandalf, but like in a different way. They come to save him, and he's leading the armies. And then now he's like, oh, I got a chance. I can take back Malkier, and he like gets his reinvigoration back. He meets Moiraine. It's like awkward, and they're like mad at each other because he didn't like tell her and stuff like that. But it is what it is, and he did good with that. And then towards the end, Lan kills Damodred. That was sick. And then he's like, I didn't come here to win. I came here to kill you. There was like a lot of cool moments Lan like that, or like when he was talking to the other dude and he's like, duty is heavier than a mountain, lighter than a feather, or something like that. One famous quote they always talk about. Duty is lighter than a feather but heavier than a mountain, I think it is, something like that. But yeah, he killed Damodred. Damodred wasn't expecting it. It was sick. And too bad we he killed Gawain and then Galad. Galad was pretty cool. He got fucked up by him, but it was a cool like fight that they had though in the meantime. And then he's like, I am the brother of the Dragon Reborn. And then him and Berlain, they're doing their thing being killed. But yeah, it was sad to see Gawain die. Not really. I didn't really like him anyways. And plus he was wearing the ring, so we knew that was gonna happen. But yeah, I liked where Lan went, killing Damodred, becoming relevant again, and he's gonna be happy with Nynaeve. He's gonna be able to rebuild Malkier and going forward. And while we're talking about Nynaeve, let's jump into the final battle with Rand. I don't think there's much else to talk about with other people. There's like other small characters, but there's so much to talk about that there's no chance I'm gonna get every detail anyways. So before we get to Rand, let's talk about Aviendha. Aviendha, she was basically defending the whole time. In the beginning of the book, she was trying to have sex with Rand. These were like two main objectives: have sex with Rand, defend Rand. And so at the end, she like kind of becomes like crippled after beating the Chosen, and basically like reverses her compulsion by like doing that inverted weave and causes her to become like a slave for her. So that'd be interesting to see going forward, but we won't see it, but it's interesting. That's basically it for Aviendha for the most part. I have no complaints with her character. I really liked her. I'm going to do like a full series review. Not spoiler though. It's going to be like a why you should read, but I liked where the arcs went with most of the characters. So going to the final battle now, we have Nynaeve, Moiraine that are helping to channel with Rand. Rand's basically going through like a trial with the Dark One and like a mental fortitude thing, sort of like the trials to become an Aes Sedai. That's what it reminded me of. So he's going through all that. He's going through his mental struggles. He's showing him like different reality after reality. I guess I figured that's how it would kind of turn out with the Dark One just being more of like an entity, not really like a thing to physically fight. It made sense. The Dark One I feel like was kind of a disappointment. Not fully, but like with the series like this going in, you think like the big bad's going to be like ridiculous, when really the big bad is just like the struggles that they have to deal with going on through this world because of the Dark One. The Dark One isn't the main issue per se, it's what he's doing to the world. And so he does all that. He's like frozen in time with Moradin, and then he does like a magic like body switch after he defeats the Dark One with Moradin, and he carries himself out. And then I think we see Nakomi. I forgot her name. Nakomi, the lady we saw in the Waste, and she like kind of saves them and brings them out. Rand is body swapped, and that's basically it for Rand. And now he can live free. Everyone thinks he dies. He has his funeral, and he can live in Moradin's body for free for the rest of his life. And I think it's a good ending. I feel like he's finally free to be who he wants to be. He never wanted to be the chosen one or a ruler. He just wanted to live his life and be a shepherd in the Two Rivers. And he can finally do that now. Or he can travel. He can do whatever he wants. And then, as I showed with the pipe earlier, there is the scene where he's trying to light his pipe and he has no powers. But then he's like, oh, wait. And he just thinks about it. And then the pipe lights. So I guess he's just like a god now? I don't know. What are your guys' theories? I know I didn't talk about a lot, and this video is still super long. Tell me what your favorite part was. Tell me your least favorite part. What did you like? What did you not like? Before I go, I just wanted to say I enjoyed all the arcs of all the characters for the most part. I don't like Elaine, but I like the character development. It was a unique series. I definitely felt the end of it, crying at the end. There is a void in me. I don't know how to continue, but I enjoyed it. I'll have a few more videos out on Wheel of Time, though. It's not going to be the end. I will cover the TV show. I'm also going to do a Why You Should Read. It would be spoiler free of the whole series and give you my thoughts without going into spoilers. And then I'm going to do probably like a thank you tribute for Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, just like an emotional one to talk about my thoughts and like how the series affected me, since it is substantial in my life in terms of it was what got me back into reading as an adult. And then from there, we'll see what other Wheel of Time content. I haven't read New Spring. I might just save that one for myself for the future. I probably won't read it. It's just in case I ever want to read Wheel of Time, it's there for me to read. So it's like a special token for me. But yeah. And also in the future, my next epic fantasy series is probably going to be Malazan or Malazan. So if you're a fan of those books, let me know. I'm thinking of doing like a book club live stream type of thing for it. Looking for like a co-host. I'm going to be doing research on that and make a video about like my thoughts and what I'm thinking about doing. But if you'd be interested in that, let me know. Other than that, though, I've been talking for a long time. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.